There is a specific kind of tired that has nothing to do with sleep. You lie down, the lights are off, the house is quiet and still. Something in you is standing guard, still checking the doors, still replaying the day, still bracing for whatever July hasn't thrown at you yet. If that's you tonight, I want you to know something before we go any further. You are not the only one who has ever needed a Christian prayer for protection just to close their eyes in peace. People have been praying words like these for thousands of years, in rooms just as dark and just as quiet as yours. Tonight, we're not going to talk about all the things that could go wrong. We're going to do something older than worry. We're going to pray together, slowly, the way this was always meant to be prayed, not to earn safety, not to convince God of anything, but to remember something you already know, somewhere underneath the noise. He is already watching over you. Let that sit for a second, not as a phrase, as a fact. This month, every night, if you need it, this prayer is here. Tonight is simply the first time. Let's begin. I want to tell you about a man I think about often, though I never knew his name. He lived in a small farming town, the kind where the nights get so dark you can see every star God ever made. He was not a young man. Life had already asked things of him, a marriage that ended, a business that failed, a son he didn't speak to as often as he wished he did. By the time he reached his 50s, he had learned that the world does not warn you before it takes something from you. He told this story to a pastor once, and the pastor told it to a room full of people, and somehow, years later, it found its way to me. I don't know if every detail is exact, but I know the shape of it is true, because I have felt this shape in my own chest. He said that for years, he could not sleep without checking the locks 3 times. Not because he thought someone was coming. He couldn't explain it, even to himself. It wasn't logic. It was something older than logic. A body that had been hurt enough times that it no longer trusted the quiet. Even when nothing was wrong, some part of him stood at the door of his own mind, waiting for the next thing to go wrong. One night, his daughter, grown, with children of her own, called him just to talk. And somewhere in the conversation, almost as an afterthought, she said, "Dad, do you ever just pray before bed? Like, actually stop and pray?" He said no. He said he hadn't really prayed like that since he was a boy in his mother's church, back when faith felt like something you were handed, not something you had to fight to hold on to. She didn't push him. She just said, "You should try it." Not to fix anything, just to put it down for a minute. He said he thought about that sentence for 3 days. Just to put it down for a minute. He had spent so many years thinking prayer was for asking for money to come, for pain to leave, for people to change. He had asked for so long that he'd grown tired of asking, and quietly, without meaning to, he'd stopped. But putting something down was different. That he could understand. He knew what it felt like to carry something so long your shoulders forgot what it was like to be empty. So one night, alone in that farmhouse, he sat on the edge of his bed and said something so small it barely counted as a sentence. He said, "God, I don't really know how to do this anymore, but I'm tired. Watch over this house tonight. Watch over me." That was it. No performance, no polished words, just a man, tired, being honest in the dark. He told the pastor that nothing dramatic happened. No lights, no voices, no sudden peace flooding through him like in the stories people tell. What happened was smaller and somehow more convincing because of it. He woke up the next morning, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, he had slept through the entire night. He said it wasn't that his problems disappeared. His son still wasn't calling. The business was still gone. But something had shifted in the part of him that carried it all, as if, for just those hours, he had handed the weight to someone bigger. And his body had finally believed it was safe enough to let go. He kept doing it. Not every night was the same. Some nights the prayer felt like nothing but words. But he said he came to understand something that took him 50 years to learn, that protection was never about controlling what happens outside of you. It was about who is holding you while it happens. I think about him because I think many of us are exactly like he was, checking the locks in one way or another, even when nothing is actually wrong. Maybe your locks are your phone, checked one more time before sleep. Maybe they're the mental list of everything that could still go sideways tomorrow. Maybe you don't even know what you're guarding against anymore. You just know you can't quite put it down. That man's story isn't special because something miraculous happened to him. It's special because it's ordinary. It's what happens quietly when a tired person stops trying to hold everything alone for just one night. He is already watching over you, even on the nights you forget to ask him to. I don't know what you're carrying into July, but I know that same door is open tonight. Just honesty and a willingness to put something down. I think about the version of that story that never gets told all the nights before that one, when he lay there alone and simply endured it. Nobody claps for that. A man just gets up the next morning, tired in a way that doesn't show, and goes about his day like the night before wasn't a small, quiet battle. I wonder how many nights you've had like that. What strikes me most about his story isn't the moment he prayed. It's the years before it, the years he spent believing that asking for help, even from God, was somehow beneath him. That a grown man who had built a business, raised a daughter, buried a marriage, should be able to handle a dark house on his own. That's not weakness talking. That's pride wearing the costume of strength. And pride is exhausting to carry into a bed every night. His daughter didn't know she was handing him a way out. She just said something true, the way people sometimes do without realizing the weight of it. That's how grace tends to arrive, not through thunder, but through a daughter's voice on a call you almost didn't answer. I want you to notice something in his prayer. He didn't ask God to fix his son. He didn't ask for the business back. He asked to be watched over, just for the night. Sometimes the request that changes everything is the smallest one. Not solve my life, but stay with me while I sleep. That's the shift I want you to feel tonight. Not a demand that July goes smoothly. Just a willingness to say, watch over this house tonight. Watch over me, and let that be enough, the way it was enough for him. Let's keep going. There's more to say about what it actually means to be protected, not from everything, but through everything. Let's sit with something now, a promise so old, so worn smooth by generations of tired hands holding on to it, that it's easy to read past without really hearing it. Psalm 91. If you've spent any time in church, in a hospital waiting room, in a funeral home, you've likely heard a piece of it read aloud, maybe without even realizing what you were hearing. It's one of those passages that has quietly held up more people than almost any other words in Scripture. It says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Read that slowly, not once, but again in your mind. Dwelleth not visits, not stops by when things get hard. Dwells, lives there, stays there, makes a home there. And the shadow of the Almighty, think about what a shadow actually is. A shadow only exists because something bigger is standing between you and the full weight of the light, or the heat, or the storm. A shadow means something enormous is positioned exactly where it needs to be, so that what reaches you is only what you can bear. That's not poetry for poetry's sake. That's an image built to comfort a person exactly like you on a night exactly like this one. The psalm continues, "I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust." Notice the order there. It doesn't say, "I will trust once I feel safe." It says, the declaration of trust comes first, and the sense of refuge follows. That's backwards from how most of us live. We wait to feel safe before we're willing to trust. Scripture flips that. Trust is the door you walk through, not the reward you receive once everything already feels okay. I think that's why so many people, all these centuries later, still return to this psalm specifically when the fear is more of a general hum than a specific danger. The kind of unease that doesn't have a name, that just makes the nights feel longer and the dark feel heavier. Further in, it says, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day." I want you to notice something specific, by night. Whoever wrote these words understood something true about being human. That night has its own particular kind of fear. Daytime fear has shape. Nighttime fear is different. It's formless. It's the thing that creeps in exactly when your defenses are down, when the distractions of the day have gone quiet, and there's nothing left to hide behind except your own thoughts. Whoever prayed this 3,000 years ago knew that feeling. And knowing that someone, generations before you were born, lay in the dark with the same kind of formless dread, there's something steadying about that. You are joining a very long line of people who found their way through it. The psalm goes on to paint an image most people skip past too quickly: angels, given charge to keep you in all your ways, to bear you up. Not a vague, general blessing floating somewhere in the sky. A specific, personal charge given concerning you. I'm not asking you to picture anything elaborate. Just this, that you are not unwatched. That whatever is happening in your life right now, whatever waits for you in July, none of it is happening outside of God's attention. He is already watching over you. Not starting tonight. He already was. Here's what I think this psalm is really teaching. Underneath the poetry, protection was never a promise that nothing difficult would happen to you. Protection, in the way the Bible actually describes it, isn't the absence of hardship. It's the presence of someone with you inside of it. There's one more thing worth saying about this psalm. It doesn't ask you to feel brave before it applies to you. It doesn't require your doubts resolved, your faith polished and confident. The man in that farmhouse, he didn't feel brave when he finally prayed. He felt tired and unsure and out of practice, and the shadow of the Almighty covered him anyway. That's the part people miss. They think protection is for the strong. But this psalm was written into a world full of real danger, real armies, real plague, real loss, and it was given to ordinary, frightened people, not to the fearless. I think about how many nights, across how many centuries, this exact passage has been whispered by someone in the dark. Soldiers far from home, mothers standing over a sick child, a widow in an empty house, learning what silence sounds like, all of them reaching for the same shadow, the same shelter, the same 7 words: "He is my refuge and my fortress." You are part of that same long line tonight. Not because your circumstances match theirs exactly, but because the need underneath is the same. You dwell under a shadow, which means something vast is standing exactly where you need it to stand. Read it again sometime, when you have quiet morning light. let it settle slowly. But for tonight, just carry this piece of it with you into sleep. He is already watching over you, the way he has watched over every person who ever lay awake, afraid of nothing they could name. I want to ask you something now, not a question you need to answer out loud. Just something to carry with you as you lie there, letting your body settle into the mattress a little more with every minute that passes. When was the last time you actually felt safe? Not the absence of danger, that's different. I mean the felt sense of it. The kind of safe where your shoulders drop half an inch without you telling them to. The kind where your mind stops scanning for the next problem, even for just a moment. For some of you, that feeling might be recent. A quiet morning with coffee. A conversation with someone who understands you without needing it explained. A moment in church where the music faded and something in your chest went still. For others, it might have been a long time. Long enough that you've almost forgotten what it feels like. The way you forget the sound of a voice after enough years apart. You've gotten so used to bracing that you don't even notice you're doing it anymore. It's just how you carry yourself now. Shoulders slightly raised, jaw slightly tight, waiting for whatever comes next. I want you to sit with that for a second, not to feel bad about it, just to notice it. Sometimes the first step toward rest isn't fixing anything. It's simply admitting how long you've been standing guard. Most of us were never taught how to put that guard down. We were taught how to keep going, how to push through, how to hold it together for the sake of everyone watching. Nobody sat us down and taught us how to rest. Think about a house for a moment. Not a metaphor yet, just a house. The kind with a porch light and a door that locks. Now imagine that house has stood unmoved through 50 years of storms. Through hail that dented the roof. Through wind that stripped branches from the trees around it. Through nights so cold the pipes nearly froze. And every single time, the house was still standing in the morning. Not because the storms were gentle, because the house was built to hold. What would it feel like to trust that you are built like that house? Not untouched by storms. No house that's ever stood through 50 years has been untouched, but held, structurally sound, able to bend without breaking, to lose a shingle without losing the roof. I think about how much of adult life is spent quietly performing strength. You do it at work, staying composed when things fall apart around you. You do it with your kids or your grandkids, keeping your voice calm even when your own heart is pounding. You do it with friends, saying "I'm fine" so many times it starts to feel true even when it isn't. And by the time you finally lie down at night, alone with no one left to perform for, all that held together strength has nowhere to go. It just sits there, in your chest, in your jaw, behind your eyes, in the tight place between your shoulders that never quite Nobody ever tells you that the hardest performance of the day is the one you give right before sleep, pretending, even just to yourself, that you don't need anyone to hold this with you. That you can carry the weight of a marriage, a job, a family, a body that's getting older, all without ever once setting it down. I wonder what it would feel like to stop that performance, just for tonight. Not to announce it to anyone. Not to change anything about your life tomorrow. Just, in this quiet moment, to let your face soften. To let your hands unclench, if they're clenched. To let your shoulders remember that they're allowed to rest, even if just for these next few minutes. Here's another image. If the house doesn't quite reach you, think of a child, small enough to still be carried, who falls asleep in a parent's arms during a long car ride. The child doesn't know the route, doesn't know if there's traffic ahead or construction, or a wrong turn that needs correcting. The child has no control over any of it, and yet the child sleeps completely, fully, without 1 ounce of worry, because trust isn't about understanding the whole journey. It's about knowing who's driving. You are allowed to be that child tonight. Not because your life has become simple, not because every uncertain thing has been resolved, but because trust was never meant to depend on having all the information. It depends on who's holding the wheel. I don't know what storm you're bracing for right now. Maybe it already has a name, a diagnosis, a phone call you're dreading, a bill you don't know how you'll pay, a relationship that feels like it's cracking somewhere you can't quite see. Or maybe it doesn't have a name yet. Maybe it's just a general sense that something is coming. The way the air changes before rain, even when the sky still looks clear. Maybe it's the low, quiet dread of a season that's about to change, without you knowing yet what shape it will take. Whatever it is, I want you to ask yourself this, gently, without pressure to answer right away. What would it mean to let yourself be held tonight, even before the storm arrives? Not to solve it, not to prepare for every possible version of it, just to let yourself rest inside the knowledge that whatever comes, you will not face it as a house standing alone in an open field. There's an old image some people use, that faith isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to lie down anyway. Not because the fear has been proven wrong, but because something steadier than the fear has been trusted instead. Not because you've talked yourself out of worrying, but because you've decided, at least for tonight, that the worry doesn't get the last word. I'm not going to tell you what your answer should be tonight. I'm not going to rush you toward a feeling you're not ready to feel. I just want you to notice, quietly, in the space between this sentence and the next, is there some part of you, even a small part, that's tired of standing guard? Is there some part of you that wonders what it would feel like to finally put the weapon down? Not because the danger is gone, but because you're no longer facing it alone. Let that question sit there. You don't have to solve it before you fall asleep. Some questions aren't meant to be answered quickly. Some are just meant to be carried gently, the way you'd carry a small stone in your pocket, not heavy, just present, until one day, without you quite noticing when, the answer arrives on its own, quietly, the way most real answers do. For now, just breathe. In, slowly, and out, even slower. That's enough for tonight. Let's pray now. Not the way you'd pray in front of others. Not a prayer that needs to sound like anything in particular. Just you, and me, and the quiet, and God, who was already listening before we said a word. Lord, it's late. The house is quiet, or maybe it isn't. But something in me is finally slowing down enough to talk to you. I don't come tonight with a long list. I don't come with the right words or the polished version of myself. I come tired. I come the way I actually am, worn a little thin, carrying things I haven't fully named even to myself. Tonight, I ask you to watch over this house, over the walls around me and the people I love inside them, wherever they're sleeping tonight, close by or far away. Watch over the ones I worry about most. You already know their names. I don't have to explain. I ask you to watch over July. I don't know everything it's going to hold. I don't know which days will be easy and which days will ask more of me than I feel ready to give. But you already know. You're already there, in every one of those days, before I ever arrive at them. Lord, be my refuge tonight, the way the psalm says. Not a place I visit when things get hard, a place I live in. Let me dwell there under your shadow, under your covering, even on nights like this one, where the fear doesn't have a name. I confess that I've spent a long time standing guard on my own, checking locks that don't need checking, carrying weight that was never meant to be carried by one person alone. Tonight, I want to put some of that down, not because I've figured everything out, just because I'm tired, and you've asked me to come to you when I'm tired. So here I am. Lord, I bring you the specific things I've been carrying, even the ones I haven't said out loud to anyone. The worry about money, if that's what's keeping me up. The strain in a relationship I don't know how to repair. The health concern I keep pushing to the back of my mind during the day, only to have it surface the moment I lie down. The regret I carry about a conversation I wish I'd had differently, or a chance I let pass without taking it. The tension with someone I love that neither of us seems to know how to name, let alone fix. Whatever it is, you already know it better than I do. I don't have to translate it into perfect words. You hear the shape of it, even in my silence. I ask you, too, for the people who aren't in this room, but who are never far from my heart. My children, if I have children, watch over them tonight, wherever they've laid their heads, whatever they're carrying that I don't even know about. My parents, if they're still with me, hold them gently in whatever season of life they're walking through, whether it's a season of strength or a season of slowing down. Friends who are struggling in ways they haven't told me, carrying their own version of this same tiredness behind closed doors, putting on the same brave face I put on most days. Someone I love who is far from you right now, whether they know it or not, whether they'd ever admit it out loud. Cover all of them the way you're covering me. I think, too, Lord, about the version of me that used to believe faith meant never being afraid. I know now that isn't true. The Psalms themselves were written by people who were afraid of enemies, afraid of illness, afraid of being forgotten. They didn't wait until the fear disappeared to trust you. They brought the fear with them into the prayer and trusted you anyway, right in the middle of it. Let me do the same tonight. Let my faith be honest instead of polished. Let it be real instead of rehearsed. I would rather bring you my actual doubts than a performance of certainty I don't really feel. Watch over me while I sleep. Watch over my mind, so it can finally stop running through everything it's been running through. The conversations replayed, the decisions second-guessed, the worries rehearsed one more time, as if rehearsing them again could somehow change the outcome. Watch over my body, so it can rest the way it was made to rest, the way it hasn't rested in longer than I'd like to admit. Watch over my heart, so it can loosen its grip on all the things it's been holding too tightly, for too long, without ever setting them down. If there is fear in me that isn't yours, fear I picked up somewhere along the way, fear that was handed to me by circumstances instead of by truth, I ask you to quiet it now, not erase it entirely. I know some of it will still be there in the morning, waiting. Just quiet it enough that I can sleep. Just enough that morning can come with a little more strength than I have tonight. I don't need to understand everything about how you protect. I don't need a full explanation before I'm willing to trust you. I just need to know that you're here, that the shadow the psalm talks about is real, and it's over me right now, in this room, in this moment. Whether I can feel it or not, He is already watching over me. Not starting when I finish this prayer. He already was. Before I even opened my mouth, He was watching over me during the hardest years. The ones I got through and barely remember how the years I thought I was carrying alone, and now realize I never actually was. He was watching over me on the ordinary days too, when nothing needed watching over because everything was quietly, unremarkably fine. Both kinds of days were held by the same hands. Both kinds of days mattered to you just the same. Lord, teach me to trust you the way the psalm describes, not because every question has been answered, but because you have proven again and again across every year of my life that you do not leave. Let this trust take root a little deeper tonight than it was this morning. Let it be a little stronger by the time July ends than it is right now at the start of it. I don't know how many more nights like this I'll need. Nights where the only honest prayer I have is simply asking you to watch over things while I close my eyes. But I know you've never once turned that prayer away. Not once in all the nights I've prayed some version of it before. Cover this house. Cover July. Cover the people I love wherever they are tonight. Cover the parts of me I haven't shown to anyone else. Cover me. And now, Lord, let me rest. Not because everything is solved, not because every fear has quieted, just because I am finally willing to put it down and trust that you will hold it while I sleep, the way you have held every night before this one. In your name, I pray. Amen. Let your eyes stay closed now, if they aren't already. Picture a room, not this room, necessarily, just a room, somewhere quiet, where the window is open just enough to let in the sound of the night. There's a soft rain outside, the kind that doesn't hurry. It taps the roof in no particular rhythm, patient, unbothered, like it has nowhere else to be. Somewhere beyond the window, a porch light glows low and amber, the kind of light that doesn't ask anything of you. It's simply there, keeping watch, the way it has every night this summer. The air in the room is warm, but not heavy. A ceiling fan turns slowly overhead, barely making a sound, just enough movement to stir the curtains every few seconds. Somewhere in the house, a clock ticks, steady, unhurried, marking time not to remind you that it's passing, but to remind you that everything, right now, is simply continuing on as it should, and you are lying still beneath a blanket that has grown warm from your own body, in a house that is safe, in a night that is being watched over, the way every night has always been watched over, whether you noticed it or not. Let your breathing slow, just a little more, in and out. Nothing to force. Nothing to fix. Picture the hallway outside that room now, dim, familiar, a nightlight glowing faint gold near the floor, the kind that's been there for years, worn soft at the edges. The house creaks once, gently, the way old houses do when they're settling in for the night. Not a warning, just a sound of rest. Somewhere down that hallway, a door is cracked open just slightly, and through it, moonlight falls in a long, pale line across the floor. Quiet, unmoving, patient, the way moonlight always is. Outside, further than the porch light reaches, the trees stand still. No wind tonight, or only the faintest breath of it, just enough to make the leaves whisper once and then go quiet again. Crickets somewhere in the grass, steady, unhurried, an old and familiar sound that has filled summer nights long before you were born and will keep filling them long after. Above it all, though you can't see them from inside, the stars are exactly where they've always been, unmoved by anything happening in your life tonight. Unshaken, simply there, the way they've been there every single night, whether the sky was clear enough to show them or not. He is already watching over you. Somewhere in another house, another room like this one, someone else is drifting off to. A stranger you'll never meet, carrying their own quiet weight, finding the same kind of rest you're finding now. You are not the only one being held tonight. All across the dark, In houses you'll never see, people are letting go, one breath at a time, the same way you are. Picture, 2, the field beyond the edge of town, grass gone still, dew starting to settle without a sound, the whole open stretch of it lying under the same sky that's watching over your window. Nothing moving out there except, maybe, the slow drift of a single cloud, pale against the dark, going nowhere in particular, in no particular hurry. Further out, past the field, imagine the coastline, some of you know well, waves rolling in slow and even. The same rhythm they've kept for longer than any of us have been alive, pulling back, rolling in again. Patient, endless, needing no permission and no attention to keep doing exactly what they were made to do. There's something steadying in that. Some things simply continue, faithfully, whether we're watching or not. And closer again, back inside this quiet house. Imagine a kitchen down the hall. Dishes put away, counters wiped clean, the small ordinary evidence of a day that has already been lived and finished. Nothing left to do there tonight. Nothing waiting, just stillness, holding the shape of the day that's now behind you. Think, for a moment, of the road outside empty now. Streetlights spaced far apart, each one holding its own small circle of light against the dark. Faithful, patient, unbothered by how few people are awake to see them shine. That's what watching over looks like sometimes. Quiet, unnoticed, steady, whether anyone's looking or not. And somewhere above the streetlights, above the rooftops, above all of it, the same shadow the psalm spoke of is still there, vast, unmoving, covering every house on every street. Tonight and every night, whether the people beneath it remember to notice or not. Somewhere, too, a porch swing sways just slightly, on its own, moved by nothing more than the last soft breath of the evening breeze. Creaking once, low and gentle, before going still again. No one there to hear it. No one needing to. It simply moves the way it always has, faithful to its own quiet rhythm, needing no audience at all. Picture, if you can, the whole town at rest, the church at the corner, its steeple pale against the dark sky, standing the way it has stood for generations, holding within its walls 100 years of prayers just like the one we prayed tonight. The schoolyard empty and still, swings hanging motionless in the windless air. The small shops, downtown, closed and dark, waiting patiently for morning the way everything in this hour is waiting. Somewhere near the edge of that same town, imagine a barn standing quietly in an open pasture. Its wood weathered grey by decades of seasons, holding the smell of hay and old timber, keeping its own kind of watch over the animals resting inside. Nothing stirs there either, just the occasional shift of weight, the soft sound of breathing in the dark, the same stillness that's settling over you now. Picture, too, a garden somewhere close by, tomato vines heavy on their stakes, the last of the day's heat still lifting faintly off the soil, everything growing quietly in the dark the way it's always grown, needing no light to keep doing what it was made to do. Growth doesn't stop just because the day has ended. It simply continues, unseen, patient, the way rest is meant to continue in you tonight. And further still, imagine the highway leading out of town, empty this late. Its yellow lines disappearing into darkness in both directions. No cars, no noise. Just asphalt and quiet, and the occasional flicker of a distant porch light marking where someone else, like you, has finally decided to lay their head down. Let your shoulders sink a little further into the mattress. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands, wherever they're resting, go soft and heavy, the way they do just before sleep finally arrives. The rain outside has slowed to almost nothing now, just an occasional drop. Tapping once, then silence, then another drop, like the night itself is breathing. There is nowhere else you need to be but here. Nothing else you need to carry but this stillness. Just this room. Just this quiet. Just this steady, watching dark. Rest now. If you've made it this far with me tonight, I want you to know something before we take these final few steps together. This place is here for you, every night, not just this one. If no one has told you yet, you are welcome here. Exactly as tired, exactly as uncertain, exactly as guarded as you've been these past weeks. There's no version of yourself you need to bring to a room like this, except the honest one, the one lying in the dark right now, listening. If this has helped you settle even a little, consider subscribing to the channel, so you have somewhere to come back to on the nights this month. And beyond it, when you need to be still, you don't have to carry tomorrow tonight. That's not your job right now. Your only job tonight is to rest. I think about how many nights any one of us needs this, not just once, but again and again, because life doesn't stop asking things of us just because we found a little peace on a Tuesday. The fear comes back sometimes. The bracing comes back. That's not failure. That's just being human. This is a place you're allowed to return to as many times as you need it, without ever having to explain why you're back. There's no shame in needing the same reminder more than once. Some of the strongest people I know are the ones who've learned to keep coming back to the same simple truths night after night, instead of pretending they only needed to hear them one time. Faith isn't a lesson you learn once and move past. It's a door you keep walking back through for as long as life keeps asking things of you. Now, let's bring this home. We started tonight with a man who checked his locks 3 times, not because danger was near, but because peace felt unfamiliar to him. We sat with an old psalm that has carried tired, frightened people through thousands of years of dark nights, long before either of us were born. We asked a hard, quiet question about what it would mean to finally stop standing guard. We prayed, really prayed, the kind of prayer that doesn't need to sound impressive to be heard. And we rested inside an image of a house, safe, held, watched over while the rain fell soft outside. Each of those pieces has been building toward the same quiet truth, the one we've circled back to again and again tonight, without ever needing to explain it too much. I want you to think, for a second, about how differently this night could have gone. You could have scrolled through something loud instead. You could have let the anxious hum in your chest keep circling, unanswered. Instead, you chose this 30, 40, 50 minutes of stillness, of prayer, of letting someone else's voice carry you toward rest instead of carrying the weight alone. That's not a small thing to choose, especially at the end of a long day, in a season that's already asked so much of you. Through all of it, one thing has stayed the same. He is already watching over you, not starting tonight. He was watching over you before this video began, before you even decided to lie down. He'll be watching over you tomorrow, in whatever July brings, the ordinary Tuesdays and the harder days both. The ones you can already see coming, and the ones that will catch you by surprise. What changes on nights like this one is simply whether you remember it. I think, too, about that man from the farmhouse one more time. A person who spent years believing rest wasn't available to him, and then discovered, almost by accident, that it had been available the whole time. He didn't earn it. He simply stopped refusing it. That's really all any of us are doing tonight. Not earning protection, just finally receiving what was already being offered. The way it's been offered to tired people in farmhouses and quiet bedrooms just like yours for longer than anyone can count. The psalm we sat with earlier wasn't written for people who had it all figured out. It was written for people exactly like the both of us, tired, uncertain some nights, needing a shadow bigger than their own fear to stand under. Whatever July holds for you, that shadow will still be there, whether you remember to look for it or not. Whatever comes this month, the appointments, the phone calls, the ordinary Tuesdays that turn out harder than expected, the decisions you haven't made yet, none of it changes the truth underneath tonight's prayer. You are not facing any of it alone. You never were. I keep coming back to that same short sentence, because I think it's the only thing worth remembering when everything else falls away, every worry from today, every uncertainty about tomorrow, every small fear that doesn't even have a name yet. Not the theology behind it, not the arguments for or against it, just the plain, quiet fact of it. He is already watching over you. Say it back to yourself, quietly, in your own voice, however that sounds tonight. Not as something you have to convince yourself of, just as something true, the way the sky is true, the way morning always eventually comes, the way it has come for every tired person who ever prayed this prayer before you. We're almost there now, just a little further, and then we'll let the silence finish what the words started tonight. Let's rest in that a little longer now, together, before we close. I want to leave you with one more image before we close, and then I'll let the silence do what silence does best. Think back to that porch light we pictured earlier, low, amber, steady, burning through the whole night without asking anything of anyone. Nobody has to remember to turn it on. Nobody has to check that it's working. It's simply there, faithful in a way that doesn't require your attention to keep being true. That's what watching over you has always looked like. Not loud, not dramatic, not something that announces itself, just steady, just present, just there, whether you notice tonight or not, whether you'll remember it tomorrow or forget it by lunchtime and need to hear it again next week. That man from the farmhouse, I think about him differently now than I did at the start of this video. At first, his story seemed like it was about learning to pray, but I don't think that's really it anymore. I think it was about learning to receive something that had been offered the whole time. The shadow of the Almighty didn't start covering him the night he finally asked. It had been there for 50 years of dark houses and checked locks. He just finally stopped standing in his own way long enough to feel it. Maybe that's true for you too. Maybe the protection you've been praying for isn't something you need to earn or unlock or become worthy of. Maybe it's simply something you've been standing inside of the whole time. The way a person can live their whole life near the ocean and forget, on the busiest days, that it's even there until one evening they finally stop and look and remember. You are not unwatched. You were never unwatched. Not during the years that were hardest. Not during the ordinary years that felt like nothing at all. Not tonight, lying here, tired and searching for something to hold on to before July arrives with whatever it's going to bring. I think about all the different versions of yourself that have needed this same reminder over the years. The younger version who didn't yet know how heavy life could get, and the version of you right now who knows exactly how heavy it can get and is still here, still breathing, still choosing rest over worry tonight. Every one of those versions of you was watched over. Every single one, without exception, all the way to this moment. He is already watching over you. I've said that sentence to you several times tonight, in slightly different ways, on purpose. Not because repetition is a trick to make something feel more true, because some truths need to be said more than once before they finally land somewhere past the surface of your mind, somewhere in your chest, somewhere in your chest, somewhere in your shoulders, somewhere in the part of you that's been bracing for so long it forgot what it feels like not to. If you feel that landing right now, even a little good, let it settle. Don't chase the feeling further than it wants to go tonight. Just let it be here, quiet, unforced. The way peace usually arrives when we finally stop demanding it prove itself first. And if you don't feel it yet, that's alright too. Some nights, the words just need to be planted. They don't bloom right away. You can come back tomorrow night, or next week, or whenever July asks more of you than you feel ready to give, and sit here again. This isn't a place you graduate from. It's a place you return to as many times as you need, for as long as you need it. I think about all the nights ahead of you this month, the ones you can already picture, and the ones you can't yet imagine. Whatever comes, you won't be facing it from the outside of that shadow, hoping to be let in. You're already under it. You have been the whole time. Whatever July asks of you, a hard conversation you've been putting off, a decision that keeps circling in your mind, a season of waiting that feels like it's taking too long, none of it will catch God off guard. You can walk into every one of those days already covered, already held, already known. So let this be the last thing you carry into sleep tonight, not as a thought to analyze, but as a place to simply rest. He is watching over you. You can lay it all down now. Before I go, if this video found you at the right moment tonight, I'd love for you to leave a word in the comments, just a sentence, if that's all you have in you right now. Tell me what kept you up tonight, or what you needed to hear. And if there's a prayer or a theme you'd like a future night to hold, tell me that too. I read every one. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, so this place is here for you the next time you need it, tomorrow night, or 3 weeks from now, or on some ordinary Tuesday in the middle of July when you least expect to need it and need it most. Good night. God bless your sleep and everything waiting for you when you wake.